Well, everybody, this is it. Our final discussion video of the cards for A Lawless Time, the 7th set of Star Wars Unlimited. Everything has been revealed to us. All 264 cards of the set are now known. While we still need to wait to see what the OP promos are going to look like, while we still need to see all of the prestige arts in the set, while we need to see, I think we have majority of the leaders showcase arts. We don't have everybody, but we now have every single card in the set. So for this final video, we're going to go through everything we haven't seen. Now, everything here is in chronological order, so a lot of the times we're going to see a lot of cards we've already seen, but that's no problem. We're just going to talk about the cards that we have yet to see from parts 1, 2, and 3. I will link those in YouTube right now if you guys want to check them out and get my thoughts on all of the cards that have been revealed throughout the entirety before A Lawless Time officially drops. So without further ado, let's start off with Tobias Beck, the second multicolored leader. So we have Saul Guerrera in green-red and Tobias Beck in yellow-blue, which is kind of hilarious because, funny enough, Tobias Beck's unit card is in yellow, but he can smuggle himself out on blue. So he's naturally yellow, but he smuggles for blue, which is kind of interesting. Decided to go with a yellow-blue for him. Anyways, he is a rare leader that states action tap him, choose a friendly unit, and an opponent takes control of it. If you do, create a credit token. When deployed, defeat any number of units you own but don't control. For each unit defeat this way, create a turret token and draw a card. So symbolically, you just swing with a unit, you give it to your opponent, you create a credit token. Then when you flip over on your 5th turn, depending on how many units you gave your opponent, you just nuke them all off the board state, and then you're able to create credit tokens and draw 1 card. Pretty neat. I mean, the credit tokens allow you to play things a little cheaper. On the backside, it's pretty nice because you'll be able to immediately flip and then blow something up. So yeah, it's pretty neat overall. Pretty neat. I'm not sure why this is expected to release in the 13th of March. It's supposed to release on the 6th of March. But nonetheless, a pretty unique leader. It's kind of an interesting little fun leader because you can give your opponent stuff and then create credit tokens. And there are cards that, you know, we have like the Galen Urso that it give it to your opponent, gives your opponent a raid 1. And I believe Saboteur as well, which then that could basically just tap to give it back to your opponent, credit token. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting card indeed. I'm not sure how much playability it's going to see, because again, it's lost that heroic tag. We still yet don't have a natural, just normal heroic base and a normal villainy base. So we'll just kind of have to see what people really want to play with it. A neat card, neat effect. I don't know how good it's going to be, because how much often do you actually want to give your opponent a unit that they can then transform into punch you in the face with? Even if you do create credit token, even if you do flip and you can nuke the board state. But still, a pretty neat card, pretty cool card. We got Aura Singh, just a common leader with action tap him. Tapper, defeat a non-leader unit with 1 HP or less. So basically, you can grind down out that the health down to 1 HP. You can tap it to kill it instantly. She does flip for 7, and when deployed, you may defeat a non-leader unit with 5 or less remaining HP. Nah, she's not a good leader, folks. I mean, I like the aspect of what she can do. Like, she can just kill non-leader units with 1 or less HP, including units that already have 1 HP attached to them. And then she can flip for 7. And again, we do have ramp in this set. It's not the best ramp, but we do have green ramp, so you could play her in green to ramp her up. Again, it's not great ramp like we have for Eternal, but again, it's not horrible. And I don't know, so it's sold on the flip of the backside to kill something with 5 or less remaining HP. It's neat for a 3/7. Is it good? I don't think so. We'll have to kind of see. Maybe people will play around with it in this format. The problem is I could see it being put in red if we still had set 1, 2, and 3 legal, because we would have had open fire on a 5 health body dealing 4 damage and then be able to tap her to kill it off. Would have been pretty nice. Or using like Daring Raid to deal 2 damage to something, leaving it with 1 health point, and then using her to kill it off. That would be pretty neat, but again, we're losing those cards in the Premier format, so I'm not sure if that's really going to help 𝐒𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂 be any better. Overall, I'm not too sold on this leader. I like what she can do, but yeah, there is an upgrade that we can attach to non-leader units to make their health 1, so then the 𝐒𝐎𝐍𝐶 can trigger easily. But again, she's going to want to ramp, and again, the better ramp is in Eternal. But I don't know. Maybe someone will figure something out to play with her. As for myself, I'm not finding much of a major use. Then we got a Boba Fett. You will know instantly when we look at a lot of the cards for this, there's a lot of Underworld and Bounty Hunters in this set. So Cad Bane from for Eternal is going to be, he's got a lot of things to choose from now to play in his deck. So anyways, Boba Fett states on his front side, when a friendly Bounty Hunter unit attack ends, if the defender was defeated, you may exhaust his leader. If you do, create a credit token, basically doing what Bounty Hunters typically do in Star Wars, eliminate their targets, whether dead or alive. And then he does flip on 5, rated 1. When a friendly Bounty Hunter unit ends attack, its defender was defeated, create a credit token. That does include himself because he does have a Bounty Hunter. So anyways, this is young Boba Fett. This would have been Boba Fett from the Clone Wars series when he and Bosk were working together. So this is a very young Boba Fett. So we have a lot of Bounty Hunters in this set. It's a pretty neat thing. I mean, create credit tokens by killing your opponent's units as long as your guy... it doesn't even matter if it just attack ends, so it doesn't say if the unit survives. We'll have to see if QAs actually state that if the unit survives, then do X. But typically, it just says when a friendly Bounty Hunter unit's attack ends, the defending unit was defeated, create a credit token. So basically, if the Bounty Hunter died, you can create a credit token, which means it's really nice. Swing enough Bounty Hunters at your opponent, kill off their stuff, create a credit token, and allow you to then ramp into your bigger guys much, much faster. So a pretty cool leader. I do like it. We got a lot of interesting Bounty Hunter stuff out of this set. So we'll have to kind of see if this leader really makes a splash. I think this leader has some more playability in Eternal because there's more Bounty Hunters in Eternal as well. We got Chewbacca! Yep, Chewie's back, everyone. We got our second Chewie leader. It just took 6 sets to get us a Chewie leader. Another Chewie leader. And in action, Chewie leader with action, pay 1, tap a defeated friendly resource, deal 2 damage to a unit and create a credit token. On attack, you may defeat a friendly resource. If you do, deal 2 damage to a unit and create a credit token. Anyways, his epic action is very interesting. You have to pay for him. That's right. You have to pay for Mr. Chewie. Chewie is the first leader we have that has to pay itself with an epic action to come out. We do have a leader like Trench, but Trench doesn't have an epic action. Trench has a deployment action of pay 3, tap him, deploy him. So basically, you always have to pay the 3 to deploy him, but you constantly can deploy him. Bell from Secrets of Powers is a pitch 2 to deploy him. So that's the thing. Chewie is an epic action, pay 4 resources, deploy him. And yeah, I mean, he's a 5/6 on his backside on a turn 4 flip, which is pretty nice. It's just interesting you have to flip him on, you have to pay all 4 of your resources to technically flip him, which is going to be very interesting for your for turn play, because typically in the normal circumstance of when you flip a leader, you don't pay the resources to flip them. You just need to be at that resource level and you just deploy them. So that's very interesting, the fact that you actually have to pay 4 resources to flip him, which means on your turn 4 play, or your 4th resource turn play, is basically Chewie. You don't get to play anything else. And yeah, his whole gimmick of destroying his own resources, it's not always going to be great, but he does compensate with the fact that you're killing a resource, dealing 2 damage to a unit, and then getting a credit token. Remember, credit tokens can reduce the cost of any card, and the cost of any card in your hand, whether it be a unit, event, an action, whatever it may be, upgrade, whatever it may be, you could just use it to reduce the cost of the play cost for that. Again, you can use it as well to reduce, to help you pay for, say, those out of aspect penalties as well. So it's just kind of very interesting exactly what this Chewie leader is doing, where you kill your resources and then create credit tokens. But dealing 2 damage and stuff is pretty nice. I mean, that can help you push for games against your opponent's units or deal with your opponent's units in their board state. I don't know. I don't know if I like this pay resources to flip a leader. I prefer the traditional aspect of flip a leader. Now, if he was pay resources, flip him over every single turn, I don't mind that at all. That would have been a pretty cool leader. Give us another leader that doesn't have an epic action that can deploy itself. It's a pay 4, fine. It's a pay 4. But still, I don't know. At least you know one thing. When you pay off 4, at least on the attack, at least you can kill one of your resources and then deal 2 damage and then create a credit token. So, I don't know. I'm not too sold on this leader. But still, a pretty fun one. I know some people will probably try to play around with him. Anyways, that's all our new leaders, folks. There's only 3 rare bases. We've already gone through all 3 of them. Again, we have the given epic action when defeat a friendly token, to give an experience token or a shield to a unit, or create a credit token, just a one-time use. Then we had yellow's action pay 1, return a card, a friendly resource to its own hand, and if you do, put the top card of your deck and play it as a resource. We do have the Sarlacc Pit epic action to discard a card from your hand to grab a Sarlacc, to grab a card named the Sacred, the Sarlacc of Carcoon, which again is pretty nice. But other than that, I thought we had one more rare. Oh, right, and then the red one, after action, discard 3 cards from your deck. You may return a card from your discard this way to the top of your deck. So, yeah, those are only our specialty rare bases. Our specialty new base, this is the first time we're actually getting a specialty base that actually has an epic action. And the rest are common, folks. All the common do the exact same thing. Epic action, you may play a card from your hand ignoring its aspect during one of its aspects penalty of vigilance, command, aggression, or cunning. So that's basically it. Choose your flavor of, pretty looking base. That's pretty much it for that. Moving on, we got a Bossk. Bossk, another, again, like I said, we're going to see a lot of Underworld and a lot of Bounty Hunters in this set because apparently it is a lawless time out here. So anyway, Bossk, on attack, give a unit +1/+1 for this phase. You may give a unit -1/-1 for the phase. So basically, you can pump up Bossk with, of course, himself, and then give whatever unit he's attacking, give it -1/-1 to give you a little bit of survivability. So basically, you're trading out the +1/+1 for the -1/-1. Not a bad card. Again, we do have Django in the background for you all as well. So if you want to combine Django and him, you would need to run a blue engine. We got a new legendary in Cad Bane. Cad Bane's got 2 legendaries now. He's cycling out his legendary from his capture legendary from Twilight Republic for his 6/6/6. He's the Mark of the Beast. Blue, green, black. And shielded with Overwhelm, and on attack defeat a number of friendly credit tokens. Give an experience token to this unit for each credit token defeated this way. A really good way. So if you could just, again, a nice card to work with Boba. So if you can get Boba to create a lot of credit tokens from utilizing your bounty hunters to kill your opponent's units, go Cad Bane, pop a bunch of credit tokens, put them all on him. Not only do you get 1 attack and then be able to trigger Boba's effect because you're shielded, you also have Overwhelm as well. So if you pop 3 credit tokens, you're making him into a 9/9, which is pretty cool. A pretty neat legendary for sure. That I think is going to see some very good play. Again, credit tokens always feel like they're going to be the meta. I think if the deck can produce enough credit tokens where he can become very viable, I think he'll be very viable. We got the Hound's Tooth. When the attack ends, if this unit survives, you may defeat a unit with less power than this unit. So basically, the essence is you smash it into something. If it survives, just murk it. So it's always on the power, not on the remaining health points. So you smack something, you survive, you can kill something with 4 or less power. Oh, less than this. So it wouldn't be equal or less than. It has to be. So you kill something like 3 or less power. But if you pump it up with ways like if you go like Boss, give it +1, you can make it a 5. And then a 5/9, and then it can kill stuff with 4 or less power on it. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool one. Pretty neat card there. Just, again, another Underworld. Once again, usually when we have release of leaders, when this released back, we would have gotten cards associated to that leader. I think the CAD got shown off before the Boba leader did. But still, a pretty cool card here just to kind of deal with some presences. We've already seen majority everyone here. IG-88, just a nice 4/6/3 shielded for Underworld Droid and Bounty Hunter. So, yeah, there you go. A pretty cool card there. Just a 6/3 coming in shielded for a 4-drop. All right, I'll take that any day of the week. That's actually a pretty good card there, folks. That's probably going to see some good play here because, I mean, a 4-drop coming in shielded, it's a 6/3. It's kind of nasty. Then we have the Bith Brute. It has a Sentinel and Saboteur, a 3/3. Sentinel and Saboteur is pretty nice. The Honaha has Raid 2 and Restore 2, so that's pretty nice. The Raid 2 usually is something you see in Aggression, and Restore usually has always been something Vigilance has been able to do really, really well. So that's a pretty cool. So this thing swings on 5 damage on a 4-drop and can restore you 2. Okay, I like that. That is a pretty neat card indeed. So pretty cool card there. Something to keep your eyes on. And again, as a reminder, if you're looking to play, remember that Bobo we're talking about. We're going to see a lot of bounty hunters, as well as we have a lot of Underworld in here. Like I said, I think Cad Bane, the leader that likes to play Underworld units, even though he's going to Eternal, is going to have a lot to play around with in Eternal because he's got a lot of new stuff he can play around with. While I don't think Cad's going to be blue anytime soon, can't play anything blue-red, he could definitely do a lot of things with all the new all the new Underworld. Next up, we have a Quarren Contractor with a Sentinel and Grit. A 3/4 with Grit is pretty nice. I mean, Sentinel is also pretty nice, meaning that he gets bigger if he's punched into. It's pretty nice. I always like to see these Sentinel buffs that come in with Grit, which is pretty nice. We have another Legendary in L337. It has a 6-drop 3/2 with Hit It and Win Play. Search top 10 cards of your deck for any number of droid units with a combined cost of 5 or less and play each of them for free. Now, I did joke in my locals, this felt like a card that really felt like something that Piet Red would play, because Piet Red's already going to be in this coloration right here. This is always going to be his coloration already, so he's already actually going to be playing red because of the Prosecutor and all that, even though I think Piet Blue, being more of a Piet Blue control strategy, can be very interesting as well. I think red's is going to be the play for him 100%. It's going to be very interesting because it's got Hidden. It's a 6-drop 3/2 that when played, you could play droids up to a combined cost of 5 or less and play each of them for free. I joked I thought this would be a good card for Piet, but then someone pointed out, why exactly are we dropping this on our 6-turn play when we've already flipped Piet and we can drop an 8-cost capital class cruiser on our 6-drop as our 6-drop turn and just continue to rush the board state against our opponent. So yeah, it's not great. I thought it would be played more in the aspect of Piet, and maybe Piet decks will decide to try them out. I just think they are right that on your 6-turn play, you're probably dropping an 8-costed ship because of Piet's reduced cost of 2. So, yeah, I mean, that's what you're really wanting to do. So, maybe decks will play this at like a 2 of, if maybe they want to play it, so then they could search their deck for droids. But a lot of times, you can easily already play your droids pretty free if you've already dropped the Grievous' capital class vessel, the Providence, I forget what it's called, but Grievous' capital class vessel from JTL that on attack, when played on attack, you can search search the cards at the top of your deck and then play a droid that's 2 costs or less, and then add a droid unit to your hand. If it's 2 costs or less, you can just play it for free. So, I mean, that's probably still where it's going to be played. But still, a neat card, something to consider for Piet decks if you're really wanting to go hard in the droid strategy. But I don't know. There is a chance maybe this is not going to see much play at all for Piet. And really, Piet's the only deck that comes to my mind for it. But yeah, still a pretty neat card nonetheless if you really wanted to play a heavy droid strategy. I'm not sure if we discussed the Zuckuss in part 3, but we'll just rediscuss him. He's got Saboteur on attack to control the bounty hunter unit. You may deal damage equal to this unit's power to a ground unit. So just a good way to just deal 3 damage to a ground unit as long as you control a bounty hunter. So, not bad. Again, we have also another set of Forlom and Zuckuss, meaning that the older Forlom and Zuckuss from set 2 actually have some more names to go off of as well as we have the double yellow Zuckuss from LOF. We have Tear This Ship Apart. Where are the plans? Tear this ship apart and bring me all the survivors. I forget the actual full quote of it, but yeah, tear the ship apart till you find those plans and bring survivors. I want them alive. I'm not a good with a James Earl Jones voice. May he rest in peace. Anyways, tear the ship apart. Look at all your opponent's resources. You may play one of those cards for free. If you do, that opponent resources the top card of their deck. Congratulations, folks. Are you wanting to play from your opponent's resources? I know you do. I know everyone wants to. It's gonna be great. So yeah, this one's gonna be very interesting. What is that? If it sees main deck play, or sees a lot more of side deck play. I still think it's a funny card to play with, don't get me wrong, because what you can run into, let's say Piet Red becomes meta. It probably is because there's not really anything confronting it. It's still got a very good revenue of ships it can go into and a lot of good things. So I think Piet Red is definitely going to be the play for this meta, for the Lawless Time meta. So what you can do is, we know Piet's going to resource a lot of its, high cost capital class vessels early in the game, because it really doesn't have a way to play those vessels out early. So what you can do is you can drop this, look at your opponent's resources if they're Piet, and then you can just drop one of their capital class vessels onto the board state for free. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting card. It's a really fun one. I expect this to see some, probably maybe more side deck play than main deck, but there are probably decks that might main deck this as well. So it's a pretty fun card, a good a little nod to, of course, A New Hope, but still a really fun card to play indeed. We have the Dervarian Road Doorbuster, Restore 1, and the Saboteur for a 2/3/2. That's a pretty nice card right there. Just a good overall, just 2-drop to play in the Underworld. We got Maz, another legendary. Man, we're just covering all the legendaries. So, Maz Katana. Underworld with when attack ends, if this unit survives, search the top 5 cards of your deck for an Underworld card. Again, it's very easy when most of the set's Underworld. And play it. It costs 4 less, and just play ready at the start of your grouping phase. Put that unit at the bottom of your deck if it's still in play. So a very interesting card indeed for Underworld strategies out of this set overall. So if you're going to go like Underworld Tribal, this is really what you're going to need to be playing on your 5-turn play, because you can then swing, search the top 5 card of your deck, play an Underworld card, play it 4 less, have it stand, and then swing in. Stuff like that. And again, if you play like maybe an X mix of Underworld Bounty Hunter, then you can maybe go with a Bulba Yellow strategy. So then when you can play out your Underworld Bounty Hunters for free, swing them in, kill one of your opponent's stings, and then being able to, yeah, sure, it slips on the bottom of your deck, but still a free unit that's standing that can either swing on your opponent's base for possible game, or even just simply swing over one of your opponent's unit and kill it, is going to be very, very good. So, yeah, I could see this being played with like a Bulba Yellow Underworld Bounty Hunter style deck, just so you could play stuff like that. It's pretty nice. Again, you might want to sacrifice the units more than just having them go to the bottom of your deck. But again, who knows? It's on you opinion, because it costs 4 less. So you could easily go Maz as your first turn attack for the turn. Go Maz, swing the base, attack in, search the 5, find something, play it for 4 less. Pay those resources, have it ready, and then swing in. So like I said, even Boba wouldn't be too bad, because there's enough. Most bounty hunters already have the Underworld tag attached to them. So yeah, pretty cool card. Pretty cool card, definitely indeed. And I like, where's my boyfriend? Han Solo! When Han, of course, enters Maz's bar. But still, I like the card. I really do. I like that we're getting some more aspects of tribal style decks in the game. I like that they're going that strategy where we're seeing more tribal style cards, where you really want to be playing a tribal style deck together. So I like that. I like when we get tribal style decks. It's like with the Jin Urso from this set, it's going to be more heavy rebel tribal. Anyways, moving on. Let's see. We have the Broken Heart on the other card right here. When played, if you have fewer cards in your hand than your opponent, draw a card. If you control fewer resources than your opponent, resource the top card of your deck. Basically, this is for Chewie. It's in coloration of red already. Chewie would have to go into yellow. But this is kind of something you want to play with Chewie, or even in a red-yellow strategy anyways, because again, a lot of times you might have fewer cards. That's a good way to just grab a card from your hand and draw it. And if you control fewer resources, you can resource the top card. This is kind of good for Chewie as well, because if you're only at 5, your opponent's at 6, you could drop this, resource the top card of your deck as well. Then you could use like Chewie. Then you'd have another card for Chewie to pop with his effect to create another credit token. And as a reminder, because Chewie already creates credit tokens, you could actually reduce this cost even more and have a 5/4 out for free. As a reminder, because of credit tokens, you can't really look at these prime costs anymore, because credit tokens will reduce the cost of those prime costs multiple times over. So let's say you have 2 credit tokens out, you can drop this on a 3-drop turn, and have a 5/4 that could potentially draw you 1 and potentially ramp you 1. So that's pretty interesting there, the fact of that. And again, it doesn't say put the top card of your resource into your from top card of your deck to your resources ready, it does come in rested. So that is a very important aspect there. But still, pretty cool. A pretty cool card indeed, 100%. So yeah, neat card, 100%. A very, very neat card indeed. I think there's some good playability there, especially with credit tokens. We have 𝐒𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓𝐄𝐃, an 8/7/7 with Ambush, Overwhelm, and Action. Discard 2 cards from your hand. Return this unit to your hand from play. So basically, if you wanted to bounce it back to your hand so that you can play it again, you could do that as well. So just something to think about. It's a little costly to discard 2 from your hand to bounce a guy back for an 8 cost. But I mean, an 8 cost at ambushes, that is very important. Ambush and Overwhelm. So you could potentially kill a lot of things with a 8/7/7 on the board. So just be mindful of that yeah, you have Ambush, you have Overwhelm. It's probably going to be maybe sometimes beneficial to bounce back him. Or you could just basically swing him again a couple times and then bounce it back right before he dies as well. So something to think about here. The Stranger. Yes, we've now, I believe, had 2 cards from the Acolyte series come out, because we have Banestra Rao, who's from the Acolyte series, and now we have the Stranger, the Sith guy who breaks the canon aspect of Star Wars itself, because again, the Siths weren't supposed to be seen by, from Acolyte being pre to a Phantom Menace. So yeah, not sure on that, but I have never watched the Acolyte. Each his own on what you like about Star Wars. But anyways, he's a 5/1/7 with Ambush, Grit, and while attacking you may have the defending unit deal combat damage before this unit. So this is very interesting. So he's also a legendary, by the way. So meaning that when you attack, your opponent attacks you first, deals your damage first onto you, and then you get to ambush and attack them. So it's interesting. So he automatically gets his Grit. So meaning that typically how it would go if you were to just do a normal battle and you would swing a 1 into, let's say, a 4 health, let's say a 3/4. The problem is at that point you both clash at the exact same time. Your opponent takes 1, you take 3. Now you have Grit of 3 on you, 3 damage on you, meaning you actually get an extra plus 3 damage points. But at that point, the ambush is already concluded, the battle's over. You took 3 damage, and you don't get to return back 4 damage. You returned 1 damage. In this case, he turns it kind of around, where instead, the defender hits you first, triggering your Grit, and then you hit them second, and then that pumps you up again with more Grit. Just be mindful that if they deal 3 damage... Oh, right, no. Right, you're already taking the damage. So what's even better about that? I was about to say he can take double damage, but he can't take double damage. Your opponent damages you first, activates your Grit, and then you swing back at them and kill them with your extra damage points, which is pretty nice, meaning that he's very much a nuisance, because it means your opponent technically hits you first, and then you hit them. So it's a pretty cool card indeed, even though it comes with the Acolyte and all of that. And again, each his own on what the Acolyte is. I've never seen it, so I don't have an opinion on it. I just know I just heard some videos saying this really wasn't a good show, but I've never seen it, so I won't have any opinion on it. But still, a very cool card indeed for what it can do. The ability to be hit first and then hit second is really cool. I like that. I like that wording there. I always like when Fantasy Flights gives more and more unique ways to really play out the game. 100%. We got Val. When played, give a shield token to another friendly unit, and when defeated, give a shield token to an enemy unit. So it's kind of an interesting one. So you get a when played of give someone a shield token, and on death you can give a shield token to an enemy unit. It's kind of very interesting because this is really good with the Darth Vader from LOF, where remember Darth Vader on swing kills a unit with a shield token attached to it. So that's actually pretty nice. So you can actually give a shield token to a unit that you want Vader to kill. That way Vader swings on base, kills, say, the unit with the shield token, and then just immediately writes it off the board. So it's a pretty interesting card here for sure, because you could give Val, you give a unit like you give the Darth Vader another shield token, give something you want a shield token, because again, Vader's already blue villainy. So this is already pretty nice. Again, it's very something that you could consider for... it's also kind of good for Tobias as well, by the way, because funny enough, you can go Tobias's effect. So you could play it, bring her down, give a shield to someone. Then you could burn Tobias's effect, give it to your opponent, hilariously enough. And then you can then basically give it to your opponent, and then you create a credit token, and then you kill off Val, and then Val's effect, when defeated effect, goes off, meaning that your opponent has to give you a shield token, which is pretty cool overall. Pretty neat card. Just something to think about Tobias. Also, if you're not in Tobias coloration and you're in yellow-blue and you're playing the Vader from LOF, do consider to run this with it, because the fact is you could kill Val, give a shield token to something else, then swing the Vader and then kill something with that shield token. Remember, Vader just kills anything with a shield token, including leaders. So that is very important, that Val could potentially smash into something, give a shield token to a leader, then you could swing the Vader from LOF, legendary from LOF, kill the leader with the shield token and deal damage to something else. So, pretty cool. Then we have the two-phase Troyog. It has a 3/2/4 with Sentinel. Then played, you may have an opponent take control of this unit. If you do, create 2 credit tokens. So basically, you can give it to your opponent and then create 2 credit tokens in response. And the funny part is that, again, this does trigger Tobias' backside effect, because when Tobias flips, technically this was your unit. You just happen to give it to your opponent, and then you'll just kill it and then create another credit token because of it and draw 1. So just something else to really think about with Tobias and all that. So anyways, moving on. The last card for our multicolored cards, so a good chunk of it was multicolored stuff, is the Rhodinium Detonation. Of course, this is when as a reminder, the Mando and the MiGs are trying to steal the information to know where Grogu is with Moff Gideon. So anyways, it's a 7 cost card that each player may return a non-leader unit to its owner's hand and then defeat all non-leader units. So basically, you bounce a non-leader and murk the board state, which is pretty cool. I mean, a yellow-blue that can murk the board state is pretty nice. This is also something maybe you consider for Twin Suns, because then that's pretty nice, because then it's like each player bounces something back, and then you can wipe the entirety of the board in Twin Suns and just reset all of that. It's a pretty cool thing to think about. But nonetheless, it's a pretty neat card. Again, we have 2 overall field kill spells, that and, of course, single reactor fire, but single reactor fire murks the entirety of the board, including leaders. This can't kill leaders, but can kill everything else, and you do get to bounce 1 guy back to your hand, which is pretty nice. Anyways, we're going into just the monocolored cards, with also either being into villainy or heroic or just mono. And we have Imperial Door Technician, a 1/2/2, which is pretty nice. A 1-drop that's already a 2/2. That's pretty cool. When defeated, heal 2 damage from a base. Pretty nice. This is a great card to put in with the Thrawn from JTL to allow you to double tap that when defeated skill, so you can heal 4 damage from your base. Just something to think about. We have Vandor Range Trooper, a 4/4/6. Pretty nice vanilla. Governor Shuttle. I believe we've already covered this one, but we'll cover it again. When play, each opponent chooses a unit they control, defeat those units. Basically, just a nice put it down. Each player controls, defeats a unit. It's also really nice because if your opponent only has a leader, technically you could play this. Your opponent has to kill their leader because it's a non-leader. It doesn't say non-leader unit. Kill their leader, and then you can kill this off because it says each opponent chooses a unit they control, defeat those units. This is something to consider for Thrawn as well from JTL, so that you can double tap when defeated skills. We have the IGV-55 Listener, just a 6/6 Sentinel in the sky. Don't choke on your aspirations, Director Critic. I really do like this scene from Rogue One. That was a really good scene. Anyways, choke on your aspirations. 1 drop that says deal 5 damage to a friendly non-vehicle unit. If it survives, heal damage from your base equal to the damage dealt this way. So basically, if you have a grit style card or you have a leader that maybe can heal itself or anything like that, deal the damage to it and then being able to heal your base. You could also do some very weird stuff with this. So if you have like a way to kill it off, or even like a Thrawn effect or something like that, you could then double tap skills. But still, I mean, deal 5 damage to something that to a friendly non-vehicle unit. If survives, you can heal the damage. I don't know how much really many things are going to be able to utilize this, but you could see, I could see this actually being played in like, if you're going to do like Piet Blue, maybe consider it for Piet Blue, just because then you could utilize it to pet your capital class vessels in the sky with the damage and heal your damage back on your base. So just something to consider there. Otherwise, I'm not too certain how many decks are going to be able to play this. If you got some good grit cards, like if you can get out the Stranger, and the Stranger doesn't have anyone to ambush, you could then go choke on your aspirations onto the Stranger, dealing him 5 damage, healing your base for 5, and already having him be a 6/7. That's pretty nice. Anyways, after that, we have Display Piece. Defeat a non-leader unit. Its controller resources from its owner's discard pile. So basically, yeah, you're giving your opponent a ramp, but you do immediately be able to just murk any non-leader unit. Your opponent controls, kill it off, and yeah, sure, they do get to ramp, but again, it does remove it from the battlefield being a nuisance. So, a consideration because we are losing a lot of like kill cards in the game, like a really got a lot of kill cards from the game. But unfortunately, this is not mono blue; it's blue black. So, yeah, it's kind of maybe going to be like a kind of going to be like, maybe a new namestay for like Power of the Dark Side. Just be cautious that your opponent does get the ramp off of it. But still, being able to kill nuisance cards off the battlefield, even if it gives your opponent a ramp, I still think it's going to be better than nothing. Sometimes you just need to be able to murk your opponent's stuff. And in control strategies, a lot of times that's what you do. You already murk your opponent's stuff. Who cares if they ramp? Even if they ramp and play a big thing, the big thing has to come in a lot of times rested. So, pretty neat. We got the Swoop Bike Marauder, a 4/4/4, which on attack just gets you to draw one card, which is really nice. I mean, that does have some strong sustainability in the game, so meaning that if you could get this off swing twice, that's a pretty nice thing to draw 2 cards off of that. The Phoenix Squadron of Fighters, an 8/6/6, that costs 1 less to play for each friendly damage unit. So basically, if you can get a bunch of damage stuff out there, then you can just drop this to be able to immediately reduce its play cost, or you can credit token as well. So pretty cool card nonetheless. I mean, an 8/6/6 that potentially could reduce itself depending on the number of damage units you have out on the board. So it could reduce itself to be very cheap. And then you can get out a cheap 6/6 on the board. And in space as well, by the way, with JTL leaders still being around. Something to think about. We have the Botana 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐘 Flag Bearer. Of course, this is for when they're getting ready for the pod or race. 1/1/3 when a friendly unit attacks, if no other units attack this phase, including enemy units, heal 2 damage from your base. Mainly meaning this really only has a good effect if you went first. Basically, if you have the initiative, and the first thing you do is swing with a unit, and it's the first thing you do is swing with a unit, which we've seen with the Anakin unit and the Anakin's Pod Racer, where they both have effects if they're the only thing that has swung that turn. You can do stuff. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you do get to heal 2 damage from your base. The problem is it really is only going to be active if you start with the initiative. So just be cautious that you have to start with the initiative to do anything with this unit, or make this unit's effect even work. We had the Shield Drive Outfitter. When played, you may pay 1. If you do, give a shield token to a unit. So basically, you pay for 1, pay 1, give a shield token to a unit. Not a bad idea. So you could like flip your leader, bring this out, give a shield token to your leader, which is pretty nice. We have the 𝐒𝐎𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓𝐄𝐃 Patrol, just a 2/2/1 TIE Fighter Sentinel. Not bad. Rickety Quad Jumper got reprinted, folks. Congratulations for all my Rickety Quad Jumper fans. It got reprinted. So when we go into rotation number 2, this will be a card legal once we rotate out 4, 5, and 6, which won't happen until we get to set 9. We got Droid Laser Turret, a 3/2/1 Sentinel shielded, which is pretty nice. So I mean, not exactly the best, Sentinel unit for a 3-drop. I don't know. This probably won't see a lot of play because honestly, a 3-drop 2/1 that's a Sentinel and shielded doesn't exactly sound great to me. Maybe if it was a 2/3 Sentinel, maybe that would be a little better. Or like maybe if it was a 3/1, I might have been a little better. But again, I don't think that would have been something they would have chosen. But at a 2/1 for a 3-drop, if this had been a 2-drop 2/1 with Sentinel and shielded, I would have been fine with that. A 3-drop, nah. We have Vigilant Scouts, a 4/3/5 with Restore 2. We got the Canto Bright Bite Security. Oh man, the casino, more casino cards around the casino, my favorite scene. Anyways, a 5/3/5 Sentinel that on defense creates a credit token, which is pretty nice. So meaning that I like that it has to be on defense. The fact that it doesn't get anything unless your opponent's punching it. But still, it's a really cool card. I mean, it literally is just a Sentinel that creates credit tokens. So if you can get it to survive a little while, you can create some nice credit tokens with that, 100%. We got a shielded hauler, a 5/4/5 coming in shielded. Man, how meta. We got Syndicate Security, a 5/4/6 with grit, which, funny enough, if you play this with choke on your aspirations, you can then allow it to come in, already give it 5 damage, heal your base for 5, and already have a 9 body swinging on your next turn, which is pretty funny. But okay, nothing too much about that. We've seen plenty of different grit cards. We got the Industrious Team. When played, you may defeat a non-leader unit with 4 or less remaining HP. An 8-drop that does this, that's asking quite a lot for an 8-drop. That's asking quite a lot for an 8-drop, and the stat line is not great. An 8-drop at 4/7, come on, it's an 8-drop. I get it, we can get it a little cheaper because of credit tokens, but still, we could have done a little more than just making an 8-drop 4/7. We could have made it an 8, maybe a 6/7. 6/7. There you go, kids, for all you people on TikTok. But anyways, I'm not sold on that stat line at all. Neat effect, though, if it just wasn't on an 8-cost body. We have Watchful. Attach unit gains on attack with the top card of your deck. You may put it on the bottom of that deck, so basically, or leave it on top. It scries. That's all it does. It scries your deck. We've seen it before. It does give you extra 2 health, by the way, so nothing to scoff at that for an upgrade. We have Adventurer Sniper Rifle. Action. This unit gains tap. Choose an undamaged non-lead ground unit. Its printed HP is considered to be 1 for this phase. So basically, this is what not Asajj Ventress. It's her name's just now spaced me, and we just talked about her all the way. It's Aura Singh. It's an upgrade for Aura Singh's effect. So her front sight actually has more capability with it. So basically, you attach it to one of your units, you tap that unit, you target something of your opponent's if non-leader, its printed cost becomes 1, and you murk it with Asajj. So that's really you'll have to play it with Asajj because it's the only great way to make sure that you constantly can get units down to 1 HP so you can trigger Asajj's effect. But I mean, your opponent's just going to target it. That's all your opponent's going to do is your opponent's just going to target the unit you have with this, and that's basically it. It really does suck. By the way, because it is an upgrade, you could do Lama Su's effect with this as well, or you could even do it with Kylo Ren as well if you wanted to discard to draw one. But I like the effect. I just wish it gave some power buff. Maybe just a +1/+1 wouldn't have been hurt that much to just see it for a +1/+1. But I don't know. I'm not fully sold. It's good for Asajj's deck, that's for sure. We got Veiled Strength attached to a non-leader unit. It just gains grit. Again, doesn't really need a plus there either way because, again, we're just here to gain the grit effect and be able to use grit. So, not bad. Again, if you could put it in the dark side, now we have choke on aspiration. You could then allow it to hit it with the 5 and then maybe give your unit a good old power buff through grit. We have Mastery. This unit costs 1 less to play on a unique unit. It's a 3/3. This is going to see play in Kylo Ren 100% because this already gives Kylo Ren a 3/3 buff. It's a upgrade that Kylo can pitch out to draw 1, and it costs 1 less to play on him because of him being unique. So just an upgrade that I know a lot of people are going to play for Kylo Ren. Then we have Incapacitated. Oh no, it's an arm! It's an arm. Yes, this is when Obi-Wan in the Cantina bar cuts off that guy's arm. So anyways, Incapacitated, give a unit -2/-2 for the phase. That's really about it. Still, not bad. Lost and Forgotten. Defeat a non-leader unit. If you do, heal 3 damage from your base. Just another straight-up kill card. I do like the art in Lost and Forgotten. I like the aspect it's the Clone Wars that have been forgotten from time itself as nature retakes everything. I like that. I like that art. It's very morbid art for the aspect of what happened to clones after the Clone Wars, and what happened to them amidst the Clone Wars. But I do like it. I think it's quite morbid, beautiful. But still, nonetheless, just another kill card. Non-leader unit, murk anything, heal 3 damage on your base. So not bad. We have a Pirate 4. That's it for blue. Now we're going into the green. We have Pirated Snub Fighter. Got a 2/3 with Ambush. Not bad at all. We have the Restless Duo. When played to control a villainy unit, you may deal 2 damage to a ground unit. So basically, as long as you're in villainy, play it, deal 2 damage. It does have the Bounty Hunter keyword. We're going to see probably a lot in green right now for bounty hunters so that we can facilitate the use of young boba. So yeah, we have an underworld bounty hunter right here. And the satellite's not too bad for a 4-drop. Then we have Undercity Hunting Team, a 5/5/5 Underworld with Bounty Hunter. Win play, search 5 cards of your deck for a Bounty Hunter unit, reveal it, and draw it. So basically, just again, look at top 5, grab a Bounty Hunter you need for next turn, and go crazy. Targeted for removal. Attached unit gains when defeated, and opponent creates credit token 8 to its unit's cost. I think we discussed that in part 2. Apologies, but still. A very good card. Throw it under something, even a leader unit, kill it, and then gain its cost, which is pretty nice. Liberated Wookiee, a 2/2/4 vanilla. Then we have a Smuggler's YT-24, 2,400 or 2,400. Has a 5/4/5 with Ambush, and when played, you may pay 1 if you do this unit gets +1/+1 for the face. So technically, then it ambushes on a 5/6 body, which, not too bad at all to ambush at, but still pretty cool card. We have a Profiteering Hunter. When played, another friendly unit gets +1/+1 for the phase. Not too bad. I mean, you can play to buff a unit up, not bad at all. Follower of the Code has restore 1 on it. It is a bounty hunter as well for 2/3. We got the Getaway Freighter, a 3/1/4 on attack control. If you control a ground unit, create credit token. Kind of a really nice card. So if you have a mix of ground and space, you can basically just create credit tokens every time this thing attacks, which is pretty nice. Hunter, for higher action, defeat a friendly credit token. So this has to be your credit tokens. Take control of this unit. Any player may use this ability. So basically, we've seen this before with the Mercenary Gunship. The Mercenary Gunship, I think, was a pay 2. You can take control of it. Any player who pays 2 can take control of that unit. So we're kind of seeing it also with this Hunter for hire. Basically, the aspect here is that you hire a bounty hunter using credits. So you pop your credits to take control of the unit, and then you have a 4/4 body on the board state. So if your opponent isn't playing credits, they'll never get this body. But if they are, there's a chance they may just decide to burn the credit to take it. Because it is an action defeat a friendly credit token to take control of this unit. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool. In action, this take control of this unit, any player may use this ability. And it's not, I don't think this is a hard once per turn ability. So as long as you have credit tokens, you should be able to do this. A QA will tell us if that's true or not. We got Target Tagger. When played, if you may attack with a unit. If it's a bounty hunter, gets +2 for this attack. Again, really nice to go. Again, kind of what Boba Fett wants to do. Already play a bunch of bounty hunters so that you can get off a bunch of so you can get those credit tokens. So a nice way to just attack with a bounty hunter and then being able to then use Boba's effect to get a credit token. We have Hidden Hunters, just comes in hidden. 4/4/5 hidden is pretty nice there. I like that stat base coming in hidden. We have the Partisan U-Wing, 5/3/5. When played, if a friendly unit is defeated this phase, credit token. Again, a really good card here as well. Just being able to create a credit token if something has been defeated can never be subsidized again. I think credit tokens are going to be very much where this game wants to go with the meta. So just because of that, a lot of decks are probably going to be ramping into credit tokens. After that, we got the Beach Patroller ATACT with 8/8/9 with Overwhelm. I wish that there was a way to give this Saboteur, or no, sorry, Ambush, that would have been really good, but an 8/8/9 with just Overwhelm, I mean, it's nice, don't get me wrong, it's a nice vehicle, and it would be really nice when you have like the effects of, timely intervention to do something with it, but again, I think at 8 already, the Reinforced Walker is still just a better walker to put out for an 8 body, and with Ambush like off timely intervention, but still, if you just need a giant 8 drop to drop for the turn, an 8/9 with Overwhelm is a pretty frightening thing to put down. And again, the aspect here is, once again, we need to not really think about the high cost, because if your deck can produce credit tokens at a very good rate, you can basically, let's say you have 6 credit tokens, you burn 6, this becomes a 2-drop. A 2-drop 8/9 that you just dropped on your opponent with Overwhelm. So, yeah. that's the thing. You always have to remember that now, because we have credit tokens in this game, and credit tokens feel like the meta of this game or this upcoming format 100%, where a lot of decks are going to try to abuse credit tokens, that this can become a lot cheaper to play. So just be on the caution of that this could come out on a 2-drop, by the way. Not sure how often that will happen, but still, who knows? We have the Mercenary Fleet, a 9, 10, 10, and space. Again, it's a high-costed card, but a lot of times I think they're high-costing certain things because they know credit tokens could be abused to broken states here to make stuff, but still, a 10, 10 in space. That's pretty nice, folks. That is pretty nice indeed, especially if you can figure out a way to reduce that cost of it. So, but still, it's a cool vanilla, nonetheless. Moving on. Let's see, I think we're done with, that's it for greens, everybody. We're moving into reds with the Storm Raider. Just has a raid 1 on a 1/2 body. Pretty nice. Prototype TIE Advance got reprinted. This first came out in JTL, so this now means that this version of the card will also be legal in will also be legal once we rotate into the B format. So once again, once set 10 officially drops for us all, we will have this card will now be fully legal. Again, I have looked through all the cards. We got very little reprints, actually. It's very kind of impressive that how little reprint of cards we actually got from the older sets. There's very little got reprinted for set 1, 2, and 3 in this. We have the Sun Tool Berserkers, a 6/8/5 with Overwhelm. That's a pretty cool card, indeed. We got the Inspired Recruit, Stand Up for the Rebellion! A 1/3/1, which is pretty nice. I mean, that's a great stat line. Being if your opponent wants to deal with it, they're going to have to run into it, which is pretty nice. We do have a B-Wing Skirmisher. When played, deal 1 damage to up to 2 space units, so just basically deal damage to units in space. That's really about it. Not too bad. Just able to deal a little bit of chip damage in space. Never hurt anyone. We got the Severian Survivor with a 1-drop 2/1 hidden. Pretty nice. A Cavern Angel's X-Wing. When defeated, you may deal 2 damage to a base. Kind of again, if you're in Thrawn Red, this is a great way to play on your turn and then double trigger the when defeated skill with Thrawn so that you can deal 4 damage to your opponent's base. We have the Haxion Aggressor with Raid 2 on a 2-drop. So meaning that this card swings 4 damage on its attack, which is pretty nice for a 2-drop. We have Arvel Skin. When played on attack, you may defeat a credit token belonging to either player. To any player, if you do, deal 1 damage to unit or base. Pretty nice. Again, we've seen in quite a few cards throughout the entirety of the set that have been able to kill stuff from kill things so that you can then deal with your opponent's credit tokens so they don't mass produce credit tokens, which is still pretty nice. I mean, a great way just to deal with credit tokens, and then you can just ping either a unit or a base for damage. We have the Baraka Shipbreaker. On attack, discard a card from your deck. This is just a card for Zabulba, so that you can utilize his effect. And we have the Mid-Rim Sharpshooter. Has Saboteur, and then when played, you may pay 1. If you do, an opponent discards a card from their hand. Again, we are losing Pillage from the game, so we don't really have a lot of hand rip from our opponent's hand. We have a little bit of hand rip with Sabe, so this could be something if you want to do Sabe Red, you could do Mid-Rim Sharpshooter to then play it and then pay extra 1, so pay 4 for it, and have your opponent rip 1 more card. Something to consider for Sabe Red if you still want to play a hand rip deck hand rip strategy. Dr. Alferia. This card came, I believe, out in set 2 or 3. This is her reprint. So again, on attack, you discard 3 cards for your deck. You may return an Underworld card, discard this way to your hand. So basically, if you're playing in an Underworld tribal deck with red, basically you discard and then you can grab an Underworld guy back to your hand. We have the Overcharge Transport. There's also something maybe to consider for Cad Bane as well. Like I said, a lot of the Underworld stuff over here in red right now is something strongly to consider for Cad Bane in Eternal. We have Overcharge Transport. When played, when defeated, you may defeat an upgrade attached to a space unit. This is just another way to get rid of JTL leaders, and it makes me so mad that we're still printing stuff to get rid of JTL leaders. It makes me it just makes me mad that we have these really cool JTL style leaders that can attach themselves to vehicles and basically are like upgrade buffs, but all of them are basically just dead in the water because all of them are able to just get cut right down instantly unless you're playing Luke Skywalker, which at that point, I guess Luke Skywalker is the only really good JTL leader in the entire game, where the only way to get rid of Luke Skywalker is you have to kill the ship he's attached to. I don't like it. I never will like it. It makes no sense to me. If we're trying to buff up JTL style leaders and in the future buff up JTL style leaders or JTL style cards, leaders specifically, because I don't really mind about if a pilot gets knocked off of its ship. Okay, that it was upgrade car. It was an upgrade, so oh well, it's an upgrade. This knocking out leaders is just dumb to me. Fantasy Flight, get your head in the game, please. Can we let JTL leaders be somewhat meta viable before they just get murdered off the board? I would like them to have some meta viability. No, they don't get to be meta viable. Who cares? Anyways, unless you're Luke Skywalker, then that's the only leader that we care about, Luke Skywalker. You guys can let me know your thoughts down in the comments if you think JTL leaders have gotten hit with the whack stick too many times, where they just don't, Fantasy Flight just doesn't seem to trust the fact that there's leaders that they should have, that if you're going to build counterplay, build some different counterplay than just knock out the upgrade. Those leaders had such good potential, but they're just horrible because of how much upgrade hate there is. Like this and the Constable are now just going to be, if the meta turns into JTL, then those will just see play. It turns away people from playing JTL altogether. So yeah, people will probably side deck them anyways or main deck a few of them because of JTL leaders. But moving on, we have Relentless Hunters, a 4/5/4 with Saboteur, which is pretty nice. We have some Shifty Suspects, a 4/4/5. On attack, base can't be healed for the face. Another way to just deal with leaders that like to heal. I think this is the third card, or second or third card that we've had that on attack, your base can't be healed. I know Wolf does it, but still, pretty cool. Nice little card if you're running into, restore strategies very heavily. We have Dogged Pursuers, a 5/5/5. When played, may pay 1 if you deal damage to 2 damage to a ground unit. So you can basically pay for 6 to deal 2 damage to a ground unit, which is okay. I like that we're seeing a lot of cards that are like, when played, pay 1 and do something, which is pretty interesting that we have a lot of that going on right now. Moving on, we have the Okana Gang Bandits with a Raid 3 for 7 drop. Okay, not too bad. I mean, this swings for 9, which is pretty cool. So overall, pretty neat. We got a Salvaged Blaster. Action, you can't attach to a vehicle unit. And action, if this upgrade was discarded from your hand or deck this phase, play it from your hand, from your discard pile, paying its cost. So kind of something interesting. Kylo Ren's been a very interesting leader that he's played between both red and green. Green with the Date Evolved, red with Tarkin Town. This is something, if you really are on the aspect that you like like Kylo LOF red, you can play this in that deck strategy so that not only do you get to pitch it out of your hand so you can draw 1 from Kylo's effect, you could then play it onto a unit as well and give it a +2 attack buff as well. So just something to strongly consider for that leader. That's actually something pretty cool to see. As well as this is also really good for the Vader from this set as well that wants to pitch cards out of his hand to do effects as well. So just something to consider for that. Then we have Commence the Festivals, Patui. Attack with a unit, it gains Saboteur for this attack. If you control fewer resources than your opponent, it gains +2 for this attack. Just a couple more ways where we've been able to, like, if you need to just be able to deal a little bit more damage to something, or you need, like, to dodge past, like, blockers or anything, or sentinels, I guess I should say, non-blockers, sentinels, you can just use this to dodge it, or, for a fact, you just need to be able to just swing with something, it's pretty neat, and especially if you're at fewer resources, you can get that extra +2, so maybe a turn your opponent resources 1 and you decide not to resource 1, then you can go Commence the Festivals, swing with the unit with Saboteur, and then give it +2, and it may give you the win at that point because you have fewer resources. It's also pretty funny, you can also use this to swing with the Kazuto from Secrets of Power, that if you control fewer resources, he gains Raid 2, So it's pretty nice. So he's already rate 2, plus he gets another 2 if you have fewer resources. Then you can use Commence the Festival to give him an extra another 2. So yeah, and Saboteur, he could be a very big card swinging for 8 that turn, which is pretty nice. We have Daring Delve. Discard 2 cards from your deck. You may return a red discard this way from your hand, just a way to work with Sebulba's effect of what he wants to do. Every day, more lies. Each player discards a card from their hand, just a good way to discard stuff. Again, you could even do this with the Salvage Blaster, so you could use every day, more lies, discard the Salvage Blaster, and then basically attach it to a unit, which is pretty neat. Flash the Vents. Attack with a unit, it gets +2/+0 and gain 0/1 for this attack. After completed attack, if that unit damages the base, defeat the unit. I.e., something maybe to do for like Saw Gerrera's deck, or if you just need to do that extra 2 damage to try to win the game, or need to punch over something and deal some overwhelm damage, you can do that. So just understand that you do lose the unit if you attack the base. Still, I mean, an extra +2 to attack and the overwhelm is nice. It feels like a card you might play with like in the Saw Gerrera style deck. And then finally, for our red, we got Collateral Damage. Hey, more casino scenes! Woo! Look at those weird horses when we decide to run them through the casino. Wasn't that fun, kids? Wasn't that a great scene? Alright, enough talking about that. Deal 2 damage to a unit, then deal 2 damage to a base or another unit in the exact same arena. A 3-drop that can deal 2 damage and potentially deal 2 damage to 2 units, or 2 damage to a unit and 2 damage to your opponent's base. That's a pretty good thing. That's basically a Daring Raid with an extra step attached to it. Though Daring Raid was a 1-drop card, this is a 3-drop card. But still, potentially able to do 2 damage to 2 units, or 2 damage to a unit and 2 damage to base. It's not too bad for a card for a 3-drop. Now for our yellows, we have the nil, a Storm Sower, Storm Sower. Not shower. Storm Sower, a 1/2/2 with hidden, which is pretty nice. I like that we have a lot of these good, like just 1-drop hidden guys. Again, remember now we're in the coloration that typically wants to play with Cad Bane's main coloration, so do be mindful that you're looking for those Underworld cards here. So this could be something you could do with Cad Bane. Cad Bane always likes to be able to drop the 1-drop a lot of the times on the turns. Then we have a Cutthroat Pod Racer. I still kind of sucks to me that we didn't really get like a pod racing mechanic in the game. Man, this was the set to do it. I wish I think they need a new mechanic in the game. What I mean is like a new way to do a win con with the game. And I thought maybe like a pod racing win con would have been really cool to do. Oh well. My hope is like Homeworlds has some really cool mechanic where I thought Homeworlds where we could do like we actually have the worlds of Star Wars, and we could do stuff with the worlds of Star Wars, and then we get like then we can have a card for the Death Star and a card for like Star Killer Base as well. I think those would be cool. I don't know. Or Homeworlds might be more based on the Mandalorian movie. I'm not exactly sure. My hope for Homeworlds is that it's more based on the worlds of Star Wars, and then we have world cards and stuff like that. I mean, first we got to get through the Ashes of the Empire, which I guess some cards got revealed for that. I know we're on tangent right now, but I guess some cards got revealed for that for the Galactic Championship. And I guess we're getting, we're getting another Palpatine card. We're getting another Poe card, and it sounds like we're getting another Luke card. So Ashes of the Empire is going to be the post-Imperial era, so that era that like the Mandalorian is in. And it looks like then we're going to go back to the First Order era as well. So sounds like that's where we're going with Ashes of the Empire. So anyways, the Cutthroat Pod Racers, when played, deal 2 damage to an exhausted ground unit. Really nice card, kind of something to play with Sly more. We have Hole for Questioning. Exhaust an enemy unit. If you do, look at this controller's hand, discard a card from their hand that shares an aspect with that unit. So basically, if they're in a tribal strategy, which again, most decks might have some tribal aspects to it, you can just rip a card out of their hand, which isn't too bad. Again, this is also really nice to go with Sly Moore, because Sly Moore already wants you to have 4 more rested units on the board state, so you can pay 1 to create a spy token. Or if you're flipped on Sly Moore's backside, being able to do 2 damage to a rested unit. So pretty cool. Artful Pickpocket, a 2/3/2 Saboteur, pretty nice. A Wookiee Gorilla, Wookiees! More Wookiees, a 3/2/4, hidden with rate 2, so basically it swings back on 4 damage. Which is pretty nice. Rebel Blockade Runner with a 4/4/5 with Saboteur. Pretty nice. The Liberty, another Rebel capital class vessel that actually feels like a good capital class vessel. Yeah, finally, capital class vessels for the Republic can be good more than just the Empire's capital class vessels. So it's an 8/9/7 with Sentinel and then when played on attack, exhaust enemy unit and return all upgrades on it that cost 4 or less to its owner's hand. Pretty nice card. I mean, able to remove all the upgrades like shields and experience back to their hands, or all the little upgrades like what Kylo Ren has. The one problem, it does cost you 8 resources to drag out, but again, in most decks, if you can be able to produce enough credit tokens, you can reduce the cost of that very, very easy. So a 9/7 in the sky that can return all upgrades that cost 4 or less to its owner's hand is pretty nice. Great way to return a lot of experience tokens. Just get rid of them. Shield tokens, get rid of them. So it's a nice, decent capital class vessel for, of course, the Rebellion. They finally needed something. Secret Battle of Pretend. Exhaust a friendly unit. If you do, each different aspect it has, exhaust an enemy unit in that same arena. So basically, you have a unit with 3 aspects. You can exhaust 3 enemy units in the same arena. If it has 2, you exhaust 2. So just a nice way to do exhaust. We've seen Yellow's really on like the exhaust heavy, like stall out strategy of the game. We have the Rookie Rocket Jumper. When played, pay 1. If you do, give a shield token to this unit. So basically, you could drop it for 1 and then give it a shield token. We have the Canyon Front Runner. On attack, if no other units have attacked this phase, including enemy units, you may give a unit -2/-2 for the phase. Again, this is only going to be good if you have the initiative, so that you can then be able to have this be the first thing to swing. But if you do have initiative, the first thing that swings, it's actually not too bad. You'll be able to instantly rest something, which is pretty nice. We have the Okana Gang Starhopper. It's a 2/2/2 with Saboteur, which is pretty nice. And we've already seen all this. We have Cage Elite, Ray 2 with Saboteur, which again, on a 3-drop, not too bad. We have the Guild Ambush Team, just has Ambush, a 5/4 with Ambush, not too bad. The Mildoon Rider, it has 6/5/6 with Ambush, and then when played, you may return another friendly non-layer unit to its owner hand, so kind of another like waylay bounce unit, but this time on a body. So we've seen it with the Blade Wing down here, we've seen it with Miguel, and we've seen it now with the Mildoon Rider. So a couple of nice cards to be able to bounce stuff back is not always going to be too bad. Being able to ambush something and then when played, bounce something else back to your opponent's hand is pretty nice. So overall, pretty cool. Then we have the salvaged materials. Play an item from your discard pile. Again, item would then be like this right here, this tile-sized area like that. Discard pile costs 3 less. At the start of your next regroup phase, defeat it. So basically, you play an item, you defeat it. Congratulations. So, not too bad. I mean, you can just drop an item onto the board state, kill it for 3, play it out 3 less, and then just kill it, which isn't too bad if you ask me. So you're just looking like for that keyword item or anything like that. So not bad. Not bad at all. An interesting little card, but not bad. And I think that, yeah, that's pretty much it. We've already looked at Axe Forgets, backed by the Huts. The Windfall just creates 3 credit tokens, just a generic way to create credit tokens. And now we're on to the our mono colors of black and white, of Villainy and Heroic. We have the Night Wind Assailants, a 5/5/5 Sentinel. Not too bad. The Alliance X-Wing from Spark Rebellion is getting reprinted. We have the Recruit Challenger with 5/5 Ambush. And then that's pretty much it for our Heroic and our Villainy cards. Not? Well, then again, most sets don't have much in the way Heroic and Villainy anyways. For our mono-colored cards, our non-colorless cards, we have Hidden Hand Supplier. When played, you may pay 1 if you do get an experience token to another unit. Just a nice way to buff up a unit with an experience token. Criminal Contract. On attack, you may pay 2 if you do create a credit token. So basically, you have to be this has to be your full 4-drop, or you just paid 2 credit tokens to pay them out, and then pay your normal 2 to then create a credit token. I don't know about that one. The Cartel Heavy Fighter, a 3/3/2 Overwhelm. Then we have a Season Tracker, a 4/4/4 with Hidden. We have the Street Game Recruiter, I believe from set 2 got reprinted. When played, you may turn an Underworld card from your discard pile to your hand. Again, if you have enough, Underworld stuff, again, something to maybe consider to play with Boba, because Boba, usually most bounty hunters will have the Underworld tag attached to them. Bank Job Fugitives, when played, you just create a credit token for 6/6. And then finally, the 𝐒𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐃, a 7/7 with Sentinel. So yeah, I mean, folks, while there's a lot of good stuff in here, a lot of this stuff is just filler cards for when you're playing sealed and draft. That's mainly what a lot of times you got all these filler cards, like almost all of these non-colorless cards. A lot of times only really see play in like draft and sealed style decks because well, you just need the cards. But overall, folks, that's it. That is the set. That is all 264 cards. Well, it does feel like this set has way more, multicolored cards, because this is the first reduction of multicolored cards. And why I pray and hope that this is not the only set to introduce multicolored aspected cards, that this is not just going to be a one and done type of thing, that we will see way more cards utilize multi-aspects. It's not a bad set, folks. I think it's going to be a fun set. I think the leaders are fun. I think some of them are good, like Val is pretty fun to play with. I think there's going to be a lot of play with Agent Callus, Krennic, Boba, Darth Vader, Sebulba, Infant's Nest. I think Hera's like lower. I mean, there's some fun stuff you can do. I mean, the bases are meh at best. I don't really see the rare bases seeing a lot of play because they just don't really feel good. Maybe the shipbreaking yard might be the only rare, and again, the specialty rare base one might see some weird fringe play. There could be some weird people who really want a Sarlacc pit to come out because the Sarlacc pit's already really good effect. But as for like the common bases, I don't know. We'll have to kind of see because there are 27 health bases that, yeah, you can ignore an aspect penalty for one time, which could be very helpful for you in the game. So there could be a chance that you may just play to help ignore aspect penalties, but understand it's a one-time use ignore one aspect penalty. But yeah, other than that, the set looks fun, folks. There's a lot of really fun cards to play with this. I think it's going to shake up the meta. It's going to shake up how deck building works. I think it's going to shake up a lot of deck building even in Eternal format. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to ask me what I think is really going to be viable, I think like Luke Skywalker from JTL is not going anywhere. I don't think it lost enough to make it that bad. I really expect Piet Red or Piet Blue to be like a meta strong viable deck. Trying to think. That's really like the only two leaders that really come to my mind that really might be strong in the post rotation. That's the only ones that really come to my mind. Like, I don't know who else really is going to do really well. Like, all the Force leaders, I don't know if they'll do anything. Like, are the Force leaders still going to be any good? I think Thrawn got a couple of new cards in here, so maybe he might be a little good here, but I think he kind of lost a little bit here. And as for leaders from this set, I expect like Val to be pretty interesting. That I think this could see some play. I think Infant's Nest is definitely going to see a lot of play just because, well, when attacking skills are just going to be, on attack skills are going to be so good to be with. The Vader, I think, might see some fringe play. I think the Krennic's going to see some fringe play. I think Boba's got a lot of interesting stuff to play around with. I think this leader could be a lot of fun to beat around the bush. I think the Jabba the Hutt might be in the interesting one. Yeah, overall, it looks like it's going to be a fun set. It looks like it's going to be a very interesting set. We do have the showcase leaders, at least most of them. The Jyn Erso looks really cool, but yeah, no, the Vader looks really, really neat. It really is that seed with him in the hallway igniting his lightsaber. What's his front side going to look like? Do they have his front side yet? Yeah, no, I might have to shill the money out for that. That's actually really cool looking. We don't have them all clearly, as you can see, but yeah, they look pretty cool. We do have some of the prestige arts here. I don't know if I'm sold on these prestige arts. It's like every time, like they have like good prestige arts at times, and then they feel like they jump back a little bit on the prestige arts. I don't know if I'm sold on the prestige arts. I don't know. It feels like every time is like this Secrets of Power felt like a really good set for prestige art, especially the propaganda poster style ones. The one in posters, those did not need to exist. You just make them all propaganda posters. These ones, they feel like they're going back to what we had with like LOF, where LOF did not feel like great prestige arts. So, I mean, there'll be people that like them, or nonetheless, they're still cool. They're just not scratching an itch that I like. But yeah, Want your thoughts, guys, down in the comments, as we now have every single card for A Lawless Time, all 264 of them. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments about it all. And while you're commenting, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you know if my videos go live for you. I'm going to see you here next time on Modern Dragons TCG.